Okay, so I mixed 2 cups of plaster of Paris in a bowl. It's pretty thick. This is going to simulate my rock. I've placed a little bit of the plaster of Paris in the bottom of this plastic cup. Now I'm going to take my water balloon, which is very tiny but it'll fit in the cup. I'm going to place it down inside the plaster of Paris, and I'm going to cover over the balloon with the rest of the plaster of Paris. Okay, so now you can see that the plaster of Paris is totally covered balloon. The balloon is somewhere halfway down the cup. So I'll let this harden and pick it back up later after it's all set up. Alright, so the plaster of Paris is hardened. Took about a couple hours. It's hard as a rock. I'm going to place it in the freezer right here next to the Arby's curly fries, and we'll leave it for a while, probably overnight, and see what happens to it the next day. Okay, so our cup's been in the freezer for a while, and I want to go ahead and check on it. Actually, I've already checked on it, but I'm doing this video, and it appears that there is a crack running all the way through the diameter of the cup with some breakage on top. Let me set it down. So the piece has been broken loose, and you can see a crack running all the way through the cup. If I were to get a knife or something, you can see I could actually stick the knife blade into the crack, and if I had 3 hands, I could wedge it apart a little bit probably. Okay, so think about what's going on here. Alright, so I'd like for you to think about what's happened in this video. Hopefully you have some questions. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I want you to do for your assignment. I want you to generate a list of questions and write them down. These questions need to be, at least half of them, or close to half of them, need to be open-ended. Open-ended questions don't have an exact answer. They can be answered in many ways. So those questions sometimes start with the verbs why or how. Sometimes open-ended questions are comparison questions. How does this compare to that? Or there's sometimes correlative questions that correlate a change in one variable to see what happens to a second variable. So a list of questions, try to shoot for half of them to be open-ended, and try to get at least 5 questions, but as many as you can. If you come in with 20 questions tomorrow, that's great. Okay, the second thing I'd like for you to do is think about this setup. Think about what I've done in the video, and how does this serve as a model for something that's happened or does happen in the natural world. 2 things I want you to think about when you're thinking about that. How does this serve as a model? The 2 things I want you to think about are, what's the limitations of this model? Is there something that I couldn't do using this model? Now realize I haven't explained the phenomenon yet. You're witnessing the phenomenon, but this is a model of something, a phenomenon that occurs in nature. So what's the limitations? And then what's the advantages of doing this model versus me doing a video of the real thing in nature? Okay, so to summarize, make a list of questions, as many as you can, at least 5. Try to shoot for half of those being open-ended. The other half can be closed-ended. And the second thing I want you to do is tell me, what's the limitations of this as a model? How does this serve as a model to explain a phenomenon in real life, in nature? And what's the advantages of doing a model versus me going out into nature and videoing the real thing? So write all this down, have it ready to go first thing tomorrow, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.